You guys are watching Kevin Fedderson, and I'm going to show you how to grip a skateboard today. I'm going to show you the essentials, and I'm actually going to throw in a little tip at the end that most people aren't even aware of. Some are, but some aren't, and it might save your shoes and your tricks just a little bit more. So I'm going to show you. First, you obviously need a board without grip. You're going to get a deck. Obviously, I'm going to recommend a Street Society deck because I own it and I ride for them. You're going to need a sheet of grip tape. And I know there's a lot of grip tapes out there, like Grizzly Grip is trending right now. I just personally can't stand having like cutouts on my board. Everyone has their own thing. I'm kind of OCD with that. It has to be fresh, crisp, clean, black grip. I've been riding Mob Grip for like the past 5 years. I will only ride Mob Grip tape because of the perforated holes, and I just love them. They've been working out great. I've never had an issue with them, so I stick with Mob. So, two things. First reason I get Mob Grip tape is because of the holes. You get to avoid air bubbles. So like right now, I'm at the skate park setting up a board. I don't have like a paint roller to do a really nice job to prevent and by the way, you want to save this, you're going to need it for later. Don't throw this away just yet. Keep it to the side. So the name of the game is you want to grab each end of the grip tape with your thumbs as centered as you can get it. That way you can line up the grip tape with the board. So you're going to place it right over the nose, right over the tail, and line it up and just stick the edges on. So if you can see that, you're still lifted up in the center. So that it's not touching yet, just touching on the very tips. That way you can get it centered so you don't have any misalignment. See, I already see misalignment, so my wood's pointing out. So I'm going to lift it up again and reset it just to make sure I get both edges perfectly. Then I'll feel the edges. If it feels like I can feel the grip tape overlaying the board, I know I've got it lined up. So once I do that, the best way to do this without getting air bubbles, say you don't have Mob Grip and you're just gonna risk it and you don't have a paint roller to get it out, go in the center. Just karate chop it right in the center and you're committed. Now you can't go back. So hopefully you did it right. Then you lift this end up and you start going down the edges, pushing in the center, because the center is where you want to avoid the air bubbles. And then once you get to the end, you got to kind of lift it up a few times to make sure you set it just right. So air bubbles are everyone's worst enemy. So you look at Mob. So I already got air bubbles because I did a crappy job, but with Mob, you can just press down on it. It's gone. I don't know how well you guys can see that in camera, but thank goodness for Mob. You just push down on it and you get rid of air bubbles. So if you're gripping stuff on the go, it's super easy. So I'm gonna be lucky. Anyone who has nothing, that doesn't have perforated grip, probably wanna bring something to flatten out with. Okay, now that you got your grip laid out, and as you can see, it's laid out on both sides. It's nice and even, got it covered. No air bubbles, you're ready to go. You're gonna wanna use, I have a fancy element file, so I actually have a file with me. But if you don't, you can just use any piece of metal. So if you have an extra screwdriver, I've even used keys from my pocket. It all works the same. You're just gonna do this with it. You're just gonna go around the edges of the board. Satisfying white marks. And you wanna get it really good because it's gonna help you in the future. If you scrape it really hard, it's gonna be easier to cut. If you do it really lightly, it's gonna be hard to cut and you're gonna get edges and weird stuff. So you wanna make sure you get it nice and good. Then you take a good old box cutter or a razor blade. I have this is kind of over the top box cutter, but it works really well. So this is the part where you wanna pay most attention. This is where boards usually end up looking super jagged, and I hate that. I have to have it perfectly cut. So I always start with the nose or the tail. I start somewhere up here in the curvature where it's easiest to sneak in. You want to come in through the bottom. You don't want to hit it through the top. You want to come in through the bottom, line it up with that, and see it come through. And what you're going to do is you're going to press against the board so it stays nice and flush. And you're going to hold that pressure against the board as you cut the entire length of the way so that you get it nice and good. And then here's a tip too. As you're going along, some of the grip may have pushed down and stuck to the side of the board. Just lift those flaps up before you go around the perimeter of the board. So make sure you lift the flaps up to avoid any jagged edges. Once you get to there, once it starts to get uncomfortable, it's better just to flip it and readjust it so you don't either cut yourself or get another jagged edge. So keep it flush. Keep that pressure against the board. You want to keep that constant pressure the whole time, or else you're going to get those weird edges that drive me absolutely insane. I recommend doing this on a bench or anything. If I can do it sitting down, you can do it on a bench really well. Or on a table. See some more of those edges. I got to lift up the flap. This is why you want to lay it out evenly, because it kind of gets annoying when it's like really short. It makes it hard to cut. So then make sure in the beginning stages you're laying it out just right. So now this is the most rewarding part. This is the freshest part. Your board looks fresh. It's nice and cut. Now it's not done. This is the part that you guys may or may not be missing out on. I call it frosting the grip, and I've been doing this forever. So when you get brand new grip tape, it's so sticky that you gotta readjust your flip tricks. You can't just go right at, you're like, ugh, I have to like adjust to the amount of stickiness. So I'll fold over the remainder bit of the grip, and I will go around first the edges and get the edges and sand it down. Keep it nice and tight on there, just so it doesn't peel up later. But then the most important part, especially with mob because it's super sticky, is I'll take the same piece of grip and I'll rub it over the top areas where I do most of my flip tricks. So like in this area, I'll just gently, not too hard because it'll just take it all away. Go rub it gently, like right in here. Like I said, not too hard. That way, when you ride it, it'll be ready to go. You won't have to adjust to, it'll feel like your old board. So I gently frost it over the top. And then, for those of you who didn't use mob grip tape or still have air bubbles, if you don't have a cool like little paint roller to get the bubbles out, you can always save this sheet and you can lay it down on top of it. And you can go through either with your hands or something else and really push hard to get those air bubbles out. That way you don't rip your hands trying to do it otherwise. Through get any last air bubbles out. Then you can be done with this. Then the last step of all is poking the holes through the grip tape. Another reason you want to make sure it's nice and tight on there is because when you poke the holes through it, you're going to go through the bottom and you want to make sure that it's stuck. I don't even have something to poke a hole in it. But you're gonna want to take a screwdriver or anything you can and just press through the holes. And once you press up through it, you're gonna press back down through the top just to flush it out and make it even. And then other than that, you'll have a fresh board and you're ready to go. That's track. Try and make sure to subscribe if you like pandas.